Hey gang, it's JC and this is the Daily Dose for Friday, June 1st, 2012. A combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Clayton. Great television archives up top. We have JC's Eye Candy below. We'll get to that a little bit later on. And the results of our rock and roll poll question, as we have been updating the site now every Monday and Friday. We took a couple of days off because of the holiday. Come on. Just trying to keep up to date on things. You can also reach me on Facebook. The Showgram with JC Corcoran, and also on Twitter at STL JC Corcoran. There's other ways that I'm sort of communicating with you throughout the course of the week. We'll talk about that in a minute too. But Mondays and Fridays pretty much when we are updating the Daily Dose here at jcontheline.com. Results of the rock and roll poll question from a couple of days ago. Two people who were injured in the tent collapse last month at Kilroy's south of the ballpark have filed lawsuits against the bar. What do you think of that? Number one answer, 62%. It's an attempt at a money grab by the patrons and they should be ashamed of themselves. Good answer. Another 29% of you said, you know, if the patrons had suffered injuries because the bar refused to let them in because they would have gone over their capacity, and then the people would have been outside the bar and gotten hit with some sort of debris during the storm, they probably would have sued the bar anyhow, saying, you refused to let us in. That's why we got hurt, so you can't win. 29% of you said that, and only 10% of you thought that the bar was negligent and therefore the suit is justified. I think you guys got this right today. All right, the mayor of New York City, Bloomberg, has proposed a limit on the size of non-diet soft drinks that can be sold in the city. What do you think of that? You know, because you got these things that, you know, are 32 and 40 and 46 and 48, and in some cases bigger than that. I mean, people walking around with these, you know, these tubs full of soda, and the mayor says this is ridiculous. This is costing the city money. In a city the size of New York, they're saying it could be like $4 billion a year in health care costs that are being absorbed by the taxpayers. Anyhow, what do you think of the mayor's idea to put a limit on the size of these soft drinks? A, great idea. The drink sizes have gotten out of control over the years and it's contributing to the country's obesity rate and it's costing us all money. B, while perhaps well-intentioned, a lot of people will simply dismiss the idea as more government intervention in areas it shouldn't be involved in. C, Mayor Bloomberg is so small that those big drinks must just seem enormous to him. Or D, I don't need 48 ounces of any fluid. Please answer. Down in the corner, we'll have results for you on Monday. Okay, so, you know, we're getting closer and closer to the presidential election. And in a lot of states, it's showing that Obama and Mitt Romney are at a dead heat, or in a dead heat. And the problem is that so many people have abandoned their landlines over the course of the last 10 years and are operating only by cell phones. And the pollsters can't get to those people. And on top of that, in a new survey by the Pew Research Institute, and these are the big boys, these are the guys whose information is not skewed, it's generally pretty accurate stuff. Anyhow, only 9% of the population now responds to calls from people asking their opinions on subjects from politics to shopping. Only 9%. By the way, that is down from 36% 15 years ago. And still, when you stop to think about it, only 36% of the people were responding back then. You wonder how they are able to get these polls as close as they are, because, you know, people say, I don't believe in polls. Everybody believes in polls, they just don't want to admit to it. And ultimately, they'll say, okay, you know, here it is, the weekend before the election, and right now it looks like it's a 46 to 42% lead. And I'll be damned, the election happens, and it's within a point or two of what the polls said. I don't know how they do it. And it gets into what the mathematicians called weighting, W-E-I-G-H-T-I-N-G, weighting, and all that sort of stuff, and formulas. And I know they have ways of doing this, but now you're talking about a 9% sample in a lot of cases, and it's driving the pollsters crazy. Landline surveys, in other words, so if you say, well, we're still going to call the landlines, well, guess what? You are much more likely to encounter a Republican than a Democrat, for example. So your results are going to be skewed. So the best pollsters now carefully weight calls between landline and mobile phones so that their results are actually worth the paper that they're printed on. But it's one of those things, it's a trend that's developing, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see how the pollsters handle it as fewer and fewer people have landlines going to cell phones, and, you know, it skews the whole thing. Very interesting story right there. Let's talk a little bit about idiots on the internet. So Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, and he's in the news a lot these days because of the IPO and everything like that. But so he gets married. He gets married. And the bride is walking around in a ring, and it does look like sort of a small ring. And there's a lot of people on the internet going, holy cow, what a cheapskate. The guy's an unbelievable cheapskate. He's worth billions of dollars, and he gives his wife we looked it up online, and it looks like the ring is probably worth only about $25,000. First of all, nothing wrong with a $25,000 ring. All right? That's a pretty nice ring. But if you're worth billions, I don't know, you're supposed to like walk around with a Hope Diamond on your hand. You can't do that either. You're just inviting trouble then. And then you got to watch where you go, and you could get mugged and all that sort of stuff. So what's the guy supposed to do? What he's supposed to do is do nothing, because the licensed gemologists who investigated this a little further, as opposed to the idiots on the internet, which is what I build this segment, found out that this ring is actually a rare untreated ruby, and that the ring is actually worth more like $350,000. So again, we have idiots on the internet, an exclusive presentation of the Daily Dose here on JCOnline.com. Let's talk about the NBC network running a promo right now, trying to get you interested in watching the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, and they said over 40 million people watched. Well, when you are advertising ratings, you're talking about a one-night thing. In other words, if American Idol says, hey, last night we had 25 million viewers, which is what they used to have, because now it's down to like 18 or 19 or less than that. Or Survivor had 16.5 million viewers. Well, that's because they're talking about on that particular night. So apparently what NBC and the NHL have done is they added up the audiences of all of the broadcasts to the hockey games and came up with 40 million. So if you have 3 million people watching 17 games, oh, brother. Let's talk about Memorial Day and the weather. 94 degrees here in St. Louis. That was a new record. The old record, 93, which was set, of course, in 2006. People who are denying climate change are just cracking me up, because the numbers are right there. We are off the hottest year ever since they've been keeping records 140 years ago. Let me give you an example here. In Chicago last Sunday, it was 97 degrees. In Rockford, Illinois, it was 99. Those were the hottest dates ever recorded in history. And not just by a couple of degrees either. This is crazy. And now you got these wild swings. I'm practically freezing my nards off out here today. I'm in the sun, but it's like 52 degrees. I'm freezing out here. Having these wild swings in temperature, and people just don't understand. People who don't want to understand, because there's some sort of political agenda attached to all this, are basically saying, there's no change, there's no climate change, there's no global warming. Crops are all over the road. I went down to our friends in Stuckmeyer's. Okay, Stuckmeyer's about 7 miles south of the Chrysler plant, 141 in Schneider Drive. Been talking about this place for over 20 years. Go down there, get the tomatoes. The peaches usually aren't in. The really good size, fresh, ripe peaches aren't usually in until the first or second week of July. Well, it's not even the 1st of June, and they got the peaches. I went down there and Facebooked a shot of me standing there in front of the pink elephant with the peaches the other day. By the way, I put that up on the web, and I came back to the, I put that on Facebook, and I came back to the computer like, I don't know, 20 minutes later, and something like 800 people had already looked at it. The thing's been up for 2.5 days, and there's over 2,000 people that have looked at that picture on my Facebook page, and I don't even have a radio show. The airlines love their new seat assignment policy. So let me just see if I got this right. You get to the plane and say, sorry, all of the seats on the aisle and the windows are taken. Only the middle seats are available. And so you're not going to be able to sit with your family. All right, now, hypothetically, the plane encounters some sort of turbulence and the little oxygen masks come down. So you are telling me that you're in 11B and your 5-year-old kid is in 21B, and you're going to rely on the kindness of a complete stranger to get that oxygen mask on that kid? Are you freaking kidding me? Robert Irvine. That's a name that didn't mean anything to me a couple of weeks ago. My wife has gotten me hooked on this Food Network Restaurant Impossible. They basically, get letters and emails and faxes from people who have a failing restaurant. And this guy comes in and, using military-style tactics, like in 3 days, knocks out walls, completely redesigns the restaurant, completely redoes the menu, and then has people come in these restaurants that are failing end up succeeding. There have been a couple of episodes that we've watched here in the last couple of days that are, you know, for all of the reality TV that's on network TV, and you know how I feel about reality TV, it is not reality. There are writers. These shows that are like on the Food Network is 10 times better than any of this crap that is overly contrived and where you're being manipulated as the audience and everything like that. This thing on the Food Network, Restaurant Impossible, it's a pretty good show. I'll probably get tired of it eventually, but for right now, really sort of enjoying it. Let's talk about more idiots on television. Lindsey Bramson on KMOV Channel 4 Sunday night said, and the people over there couldn't recognize him. Just lost the G. Couldn't recognize him. That's great stuff over there at Channel 4. But nothing is as good as Kathy Lee Gifford on the Today Show earlier this week. He's talking to the comedian Martin Short. Says, you know, you've been with your wife for so many years and you're so in love and blah, 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 blah. And he's such a nice guy. Martin Short is just one of the nicest people in show business. And he's like, oh, yes, we're still in love. Because he doesn't want to make her look bad because his wife died 2 years ago after a long bout with cancer. You're so in love still to this day. How do you do it? How do you manage it? And Martin Short said, yeah, we're still in love, all right. It's live TV. He didn't want to make her look bad. He's too nice of a guy. Kathy Lee strikes again. And on this date in 1980, CNN made its debut. What the hell has happened to CNN? They're doing holograms and all these ass clowns running around acting like they're crazy. It's like, I used to have CNN on a weekend. I'd have it on maybe 18 hours a day on the weekend. During the week, you know, weeknight, I might have CNN on for, you know, 4, 5, 6 hours watching all the cool stuff. You know, back in the 80s and even into the 90s. And man, you want to talk about a fall from grace. They need to just flush that whole thing and start over again. All right, JC's Eye Candy today with the Cardinals playing like crap lately. How about a little Mizzou football? We have a before and after shot of Faurot Field in Columbia where the new field turf has been put in, complete with the new SEC logo. JC's Eye Candy, it's right below what you're looking at right now. All right, JC's Rock and Roll Poll again. The mayor of New York wants to cut back on the size of the drinks. The non-diet drinks, you get these 48-hour tumblers full of stuff. He wants to cut back on that. What do you think of that? Is that government intervention or is that a great idea and cost-effective and everything like that? Please answer in the corner. We'll have results for you on Monday. And in the meantime, that's it. JC's Daily Dose for Friday, June 1st, 2012. A combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Clayton. Don't forget you can reach me on Facebook, The Showgram with JC Corcoran, and also on Twitter. And that is STL JC Corcoran. We'll talk to you again on Monday. In the meantime, we've beaten this one to death. Have a good one. See you later. Bye.